jobs for professionals. Everybody has 2 PhDs in Italy that I met. His parents have a hotel, and you meet a lot of people from all parts of Italy, you know, that come there to vacation in this gorgeous mountains, 5,000 feet above sea level in central Italy. In the winter, it's a big ski resort with lots of hotels, and you meet some very interesting people. But I became very curious after 6 weeks. A man, an engineer that had been Frank's buddy when they were youngsters, I said, you have 2 PhDs, you know, one in engineering, one in medicine or whatever, and everybody I've met here in the hotel has at least 2 PhDs. Now, why is this? And he said, well, I think it's because the economy is so unstable, it's so insecure, that once your field, you know, flops out on you because of the economy, you know, it's just not the season for medicine or whatever.
But the question,
you've got to be ready to hop into something else. In diverse fields, because they feel so insecure. In other words, you can be a very successful physician, engineer, or whatever, and then for some reason, suddenly that field has too many very talented people, and there's just not enough positions, and you're not making enough money, or you're not doing the kind of work that really interests you. So you have to run into something else. See, be prepared. If this does happen, I mean, most people do manage to stay in their chosen field, but not everybody, see. So that was an interesting response that he gave. Well, I don't know what I wanted to tell you about that hotel. I can't see, that's old age. I'll be 80 in a few months, so I mean this.
As long as we're on this, why don't we hear some other people what their thoughts are about all this, and
yes.
then I'll go and I have a little handout. I'll go through the handout.
Okay. In the meantime, could everybody just? I've got instructions from Frank for everybody to sign the book. Well, I have no book. Maybe you forgot to bring it. So just put your name, address, and phone number. This signifies to him that he'll transfer it into his book of record that you were here, see, and when he puts his materials together, he'll have that record. That to him seems to be important historically. And
so what are your guys, the other folks, thoughts about this? People who haven't.
well, then the woman said to me, I said, what kind of schools did you go to in Tennessee? She said, a Lutheran missionary school. So you see what happened, here was a very bright woman, and in a German missionary school, a Lutheran school, there's lots of structure. And there has never been a better way to bring out genuine creativity and originality in people than lots of structure. You know, I went to that type of school. I mean, everybody I know, I was training teachers at the University of Maryland in the basic courses that I was teaching. I was also teaching visual design courses, and also on the side art history and the adult education program that they had. But what I noticed was structure did everything for them. Work came out of those people, it was just astounding.
Isn't that the attraction, isn't that the effect of parochial school?
It is. See,
when I went to parochial school, the Christian brother said, first, we're going to have order.
Isn't that beautiful?
After that, everything else followed.
Well,
yes, sir, brother.
Oh, absolutely. It is absolute because it displaces all distraction. See, that's why in that high school I told you that I taught in the district with Dr. Wilmer Bennett, who had his own ship. He was commander of a big naval battleship in World War II. And he understood that very well. The thing I noticed about in that school when he interviewed me, the floors were sparkling. You could see your reflection in them. Mm-hmm. And he had a big case of all these trophies, you know. And the bulletin boards, I mean the artwork, every single week he would say something quietly, sotto voce, to each individual faculty member about what a splendid job they were doing. Because I noticed that your students got the 3 top prizes in the music competition or in the art.
So there's some examples of success in Africa through parochial schools and probably programs.
I think it was a great loss to the Africans that the colonials disappeared, you know, or just sort of melted away, you know, or became less effective or had fewer leadership roles.
The problem is they got there for the wrong reason and the wrong way.
Probably.
Well, they certainly
conquering nations is the problem.
Resources out.
Well, you brought out the point of carrying off the booty. See, I mean, this is what destroys people. If they feel they are not controlling in any sense their own future. The Romans had a very successful system that operated for 1,000 years because they were known to take locals, you know, as they conquered Asia, North Africa, and all these, to England, all these, locals were always elevated to leadership positions. That doesn't mean that there wasn't some Roman consul or somebody that was, you know, really the top dog behind there, but they were very clever at making use of local
So
talent.
let's hear from some other people.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about our topic here?
I think it's wonderful.
What do you think, you know?
But I want to hear more.
She's the nurse that deals with these people that are suffering.
Right, I don't have good solutions for you, I'm afraid, you know, I'd like to. And what do the other folks think?
I think what you've said so far is tremendously interesting and important.
Have you heard this kind of stuff before?
You're talking
Well,
about,
I'm just reading the newspapers and magazines.
Not very many newspapers,
No.
occasionally,
There are
actually. but-
several movie stars, well-fed, educated, that have developed AIDS. I can't recall the names.
So isn't it associated with homosexual activity to some extent?
Well, I mean,
Well,
right.
He was one.
He was a star. He was being well-fed.
He was-
well-cared
He was
for.
full of it. AIDS?
That's what killed him.
I think I remember that now.
But there's some really interesting questions. If we resolve the problem if we resolve Africa's problems,
Mhm.
which are fundamental, then they will equate to us in terms of the availability of good food,
That all
social
helps.
structure,
Yep.
and health aids and so forth.
Social structure is important. One of my big papers ended up being about that. The social isolation that people diagnosed HIV positive experience.
Now, we look at California. Why did AIDS bloom amongst the homosexuals?
And I don't have a good explanation.
I would like to suggest that one possibility might be the introduction of semen into bodies. Semen has a component that neutralizes the antibodies that would attack this alien protein that's intended to unite with an egg.
There is some possibility that, without getting into too much sexually explicit talk, that could undermine your health system. However, there are a lot of, you know, gay people that live long, healthy lives. The people who actually got that problem were young gay men involved in a severe, I would call it severe, party lifestyle. And one of the breakout books about this whole thing was And the Band Played On. And I didn't read that, so I'm not an expert, but I heard some talk about it. And if you read it and you look at it that way and say, you know, what kind of a life are these people leading? There was heavy drug use, there was late night parties, there was
10 partners
band
in night.
yeah, there was also a false sense of, they had a social structure, but it wasn't cohesive.